So you're very welcome back, and today I'm going to talk to you about what goes on inside my daily training routine. Most people assume that the performance at elite level comes from talent, we'll say, motivation, or, as I've alluded to before, that momentary looks up to the crowd, realises they're 1 or 2 points behind and pulls off what could be conceived as a miracle or perceived as a miracle. But at high level performance, it's not realistically built in that way, for sure. It's built through structured, repeatable daily work, executed with discipline, executed with clarity. You're never going to perform at a higher level than you train. It's just the way things are. Not reliably. You'll undoubtedly find someone who can pull one out of the bag, but people tend to, under pressure, perform at their base level, not at their exceptional level. So build your base level is what I would say. This video is going to break down daily training, what it actually looks like when your goal is mastery and not results. Again, I'm a believer in mastery and craft over shooting tens. It's just not repeatable, it's just not achievable. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I design my training programs. So I suppose what does it mean by training at a high level? Well, first of all, I train at the same level I'm going to compete. So every shot I take, it's not a matter of, I've got an hour to get through. It's actually every shot within that hour, if it is an hour I'm giving. My focus is on giving maximum performance. I don't expect to compete at a higher level than I train, and I don't expect to get higher results than the results I'm getting in training. Most people probably think it's firing lead, as it were, pull the trigger for hours, go through boxes of pellets or bullets. No, it's not. Pushing to exhaustion. You may be exhausted, and an aspect of your training might be to push at that level, but it's not a daily grind to push to exhaustion level. Structure and discipline for me are what go into a proper training session. Also, training sessions need to be decided beforehand, not find yourself in the middle of one. So I train with a goal in mind. I don't just stumble through an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours with the hope of improvement. I'm actually doing something that I can measure. So I decide what I'm going to train on. I execute the plan around that, and then I measure the execution. That's what I'm looking at. Something I would have come across before, for sure, is people train based on how they feel. If they're feeling good, then they try harder. If they feel it's a bit off, they ease back a bit. While if you're in aerobic, anaerobic type training, that may be a factor in it. In shooting, it's not particularly a factor. I would say it creates inconsistency. When you're being motivated to do something, there are too many inputs into that. For me, it's a simple cause of discipline. Discipline gets me through the days where I don't feel like doing things, as opposed to feeling a motivation of, I'm doing it for this reason or that reason. Motivation is it's like the wind. It'll blow from a different direction every 10 minutes. Intensity changes. Too many input factors motivate people. For me, pure discipline is what it's about. You can get up at 5, start training at 6, take the motivation out of it and put discipline into it, and it's achievable. Otherwise, you're creating inconsistency, and also you're creating too many variables. Motivation is a variable. How motivated are you? So discipline, you've got a plan, execute the plan. My training wouldn't be random, and I don't believe a lot of people at a higher level's training is random. It's built around multiple focus sessions per day. I split my training up into technical sessions, into psychological conditioning, and physical training also. So I have to be able to breathe, so I don't have to be doing, and I'm never going to be doing 100-meter sprints or 5K runs anymore, but my physical training sessions are around support and mobility. That's what I need to be able to do. I need to be able to breathe consistently at a nice level, keep the heart rate down. Psychologically, I need to be prepared for the different instances, the different experiences, whether it's a qualifier or whether it's a final. Those are the type of training sessions, and I would do no more than an hour of a training session and then sit back and measure. But I always start with a plan. My plan is based around what am I trying to achieve for that day. If it's hold, if it's trigger release, if it's follow through, I'll decide that that's what the goal is for today, to improve that, and then I'll set up a plan around that goal. I'll execute that plan, and then I'll measure the execution. That's what it'll be. And while I might have a weekly plan, I'll have a monthly plan, I'll have a yearly plan, I'll have a session plan, and the session plan feeds into exactly what I'm doing that day, and not only that day, but that session. If it's a technical one, or if it's a physical one, or if it's a psychological one. And each one tends to build on the next. So hold, for example, would be a wonderful topic, but hold in itself is not going to be something that I train for. An aspect of hold might be what I'm looking for. So it could be sight alignment or sight picture, or it could be trigger execution, or it could be putting the butt plate in the correct position, so attachment to the rifle. But I wouldn't try and hit them all in the one go, because I can't measure just how well I executed a particular aspect of the training session if I do that. Each session builds on the last one, so it's like layers. Pulling a trigger would be the last layer in the pre-shot. Follow through is ultimately the last layer, if you want, in the execution of the shot plan. And the more I execute those stages correctly, the better the outcome. And then when I bring it to a competition, I can expect a comparative outcome. Definitely not above it, but I wouldn't accept below it either, or I would need more work. So for me, one of the greatest things you can be is a problem solver in your sport. It's not up to other people to solve your problems for you. The problem could be hold, it could be groupings, it could be sight picture, it could be anything. Become your own master of your own destiny and figure out, so what is it you're trying to do? And the problem I have right now, would say, for example, is in the last second, I'm moving, if that's the problem. Then what I do is I go, so what are the inputs into that problem? And I break it down into manageable steps, and then I'll take one of those. And it could be, for example, finger position. Am I getting the pad on my finger in the correct position every time? Am I pulling it through gently, consistently? Those are the things I look at. So problem solving, and then I'll create a training plan around that particular that particular execution. What am I trying to improve? Well, ultimately I'm trying to improve my groupings, and also my groupings need to be in the correct position, as in 10 point whatevers. So I isolate the part of the process that has the biggest input into that. So I could have a perfect entry into the 10 ring, and then that last second, for some reason, there's movement. And it could be because my timing is off. It could be I'm in too early, or I'm in too late, or I'm having to rush because of my breathing. And I'll break it down into whatever aspect of that I need to be doing so that I can improve. So my plan would be based on what I'm trying to achieve for that day, that session even. And it could be a break a day into an aspect. So there could be 3 elements, and I'll break it down into the lowest level, and then the next level, and then the highest level. So the one that's got the baseline, whatever it be, whether it be cheek piece, I'm putting my cheek down in the correct position so that I can get the correct sight alignment. And when I have the correct sight alignment, then sight picture comes. And then once that's done, then my trigger. So I layer them all in, but the one that's got to be at the bottom of the hill is the one that creates the most stability for me. So that would be how I approach a training session. I execute that with the same level of intensity as if I was on a firing line anywhere in the world, qualifying for my life. And when you bring that level of intensity to your training, it's quite possible to bring the same level of intensity to your competitions. But you can't just expect to show up at a competition if you're not training at the same level. It doesn't suddenly, you don't flick a switch at a competition and go, oh, I'm going to get my head serious, so I'm really taking this serious now. If you take your training serious, your competitions are also taken seriously. But if you don't take your training serious, why are you even doing something? Why are you getting up? Why are you sitting down? If you don't have a goal, you can't expect to improve. If you don't have a goal, then you can't create a plan. If you can't create a plan, you can't execute it. And you can't measure it. So that would possibly be something that people stumble on. They hit a plateau and they wonder why. Well, maybe if they looked at how they're approaching their training sessions, if it's nothing other than going through a box of lead, I mean, they've achieved that by just putting it, you don't even need a sight, just stick it down the barrel, pull the trigger, job done. If you want to improve, it doesn't need to be 100 shots. It doesn't even need to be 20 shots. It could be 5 shots. Stop and analyse. But again, it's down to you have to have an aspect of your training that you're trying to improve. You have a plan around it. You execute it, you analyse it, and then you have somewhere to go from. So why does the approach work? Well, that approach works because you take away randomness, you take away luck, you take away inconsistency, and you're developing control. Over time, that process, it becomes stable, it becomes a muscle memory, similar to changing gears in a car. You don't look down to see where the clutch is, you don't look down to see where second gear is, or third gear, or fourth gear. Those are automatic muscle engagements, if you want. It's muscle memory. And similarly, if you train correctly, so there used to be the thing of perfect performance, perfect training. You can't, training makes perfect or something like that? Well, it doesn't. Bad training doesn't make perfect. Perfect training makes perfect. Actually, perfect training creates perfect performance. And that's what we're looking for. Competitions, qualifiers, you're looking at 60 shots repeatable. So if you're not building consistency in, again, 60 shots, there's a lot of variance there possible. I won't even talk about what happens in a final. So your training sessions should be built around your process again, and the more that's stable, more reliable, then the outcomes are more reliable. Most people, I would say, train without structure. I've heard athletes who go shooting, oh, I did an hour. If you ask them what they did in the hour, they can't really tell you because they didn't have a plan going into it. Tends not to be people who are really focused on the higher levels. It's, I would say, the middle who are at it a long time and even going, so I don't know why I'm not getting better. I'm putting in the time. And I mean, respectfully, if effort is all you're putting in, you shouldn't be expecting any improvement. There needs to be more than effort is a minimum requirement if you want to go to the top level. Chasing results without any practice, I mean, it's a Hail Mary pass. Today you might get lucky, and that would even be one of the worst things could happen, is you get lucky and then you build your premise or build your paradigm on that luck, and then you're even more frustrated when the luck disappears the next time round. Changing too many variables. If you have, we say, even 5 things within a short process, it could be butt placement, it could be cheek placement, it could be finger placement on the pistol grip, it could be follow through. If you try and do all of those within a training session, I don't believe you're going to get the output that you're expecting. You may think you'll improve. Very hard to measure that. Maybe take one part of that, because there's so many variables even within that one part, or so many elements. That in itself is a training session. But again, put it down on paper. What are you trying to achieve? Put a plan around what you're trying to achieve. Execute the plan. Analyse the results of the plan. Change the plan if necessary. If not, execute it again. I would say focus on quality over quantity every time. It's not possible to, if all your thing is I have to shoot 100 shots today and that's your goal, well, you'll definitely achieve that. It requires no concentration and no focus whatsoever. Without structure, I believe, and without the discipline, I believe effort is pointless. I'd say that training is not about proving anything. It's a moment of education, a moment of exploration. It's that space where you should be inquisitive, I believe, around what you're doing. So if you're trying to improve, there needs to be a level of inquisitiveness around what did that do, what was the outcome of that action. It should be an exploration time. Or if your training plan is, I need to do 60 shots in X amount of time, that's fine too. But even within that, there's an exploration part. Exploring just how well you deal with that pressure, how well you execute the process. Every session is a step towards what I would say better control, better execution. Here's a very key one in mastery, and that's understanding. I believe that the more you understand your craft, understand the implement you have, and understand how you relate to that implement, the more you become a master of your process, a master of your tool and your sport. So I'd say that there's nothing random about daily training sessions, nothing. They're not based on emotion, they should be based on discipline. They should be structured, they should be consistent, and they should be deliberate. That's what my takeaway from this video would be. The next video I'm thinking of doing would be on a shot process. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you.